Evaluator, Matthew, what are his purposes today?
So Chris is doing this speech to practice his writing in a speech, and he's more emphasized his emphasis more on adding descriptive language in his speech. So we pay attention to Chris' descriptive language during the speech.
Cool. I've just heard that the speech title is The Old Man on the Bus, with the speech title Old Man on the Bus. Please welcome Chris Hum.
What I'm about to share with you today is a true story. It happened in July 2024. After a long day in the city, I got onto the bus. As I slumped into my seat, hoping to enjoy a bit of peace and quietness before I get home. But when you get on the bus, I'm sure you also know, you also secretly hope that nobody will sit beside you. Unless, maybe, if it's a young, beautiful girl. That will be an exception. But otherwise, nobody should be sitting right beside you. And that day was the unluckiest day in my life. Because instead of a young, beautiful girl, it's an old, 85-year-old looking, with a walking stick, man on the bus, sitting right beside me. He's a Toastmaster, fellow passengers, and the old man on the bus who's sitting right beside me. As the bus departs from Elizabeth Quay to St. George Terrace, all the way, prepared to get myself home. Traffic jams is so bad that the bus stopped in St. George Terrace for 10 minutes. And you know what? The old man on the bus started complaining non-stop. Yeah, mate. That's not good. Traffic real bad, eh? I was sitting right beside him for 10 minutes. He was complaining for 10 minutes, which feels like 10 years. Well, what can I do? I continued to sit quietly beside him. And finally, the bus moved. It continues through the streets of St. George Terrace. We passed by a shopping mall. He pointed at the mall and says, "That mall is a rip-off. Everything's so expensive." We passed by a bank. "That bank, interest rate high, mortgage rate high. Yeah, this economy no good." We passed by a church. "Yeah, mate, that church, so noisy on Sunday." Me sitting beside him starts to look around. Everyone have their earphones on. So I decided to take out my earpieces and hope that he would get the hint. But he didn't. In fact, he tapped onto my shoulder. "Yeah, mate, I'm talking to you, you little beauty." He continues to talk, continues to whine, and continues to ramble on and on. What can I do? I was just sitting there, quietly. Then I started to think, should I actually use my finger and tell him to shut up? Should I actually get off the bus and wait for the next bus to get home. As I'm about to get more and more frustrated, my face starts to turn red. Steam started to come out from my ears and nose. What would you do if you were me? I was frustrated. But then, in the midst of my frustration, a tiny thought came through my little mind. What if that old man was not trying to annoy me? What if that old man wants to talk only because he feels lonely? What if he feels so lonely that even he would talk to a stranger instead of his old mates? And that reminds me of a statistic that I had came across. Do you know that people who are 85-year-old plus, especially men, has one of the highest suicidal rates in Australia, all because of loneliness? Loneliness is dangerous. Loneliness is insidious. Loneliness kills. When that little thought came through my mind, I started to awkwardly smile and started to nod. That day, as I finally went back home and got off the bus, in fact, he thanked me. "You're a champ, mate! Thank you for listening to me. Not a lot of people listen." I realize it's too fast for me to judge. You see, I shouldn't get frustrated so easily. That old man on the bus, maybe he was rambling, but what I heard was a man who was trying to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure we've all been there. We all have that one person in our lives who rambles on and on that feels like forever. And we wanted to use that little finger to ask them to shut up. But remember to be kind, because you never know what that person has been going through in their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, and fellow passengers, next time when you get frustrated, when someone talks to you on and on as if the timer doesn't exist, just remember to be kind, because kindness costs nothing, but it means everything.
Well done, Chris. Thank you for that very deep and funny and enlightening speech. We thoroughly enjoyed